Welcome back, you guys, to the channel. This is your girl, Wicked Raider 22, coming at you with another champion review. And this is actually a champion that I have personally not worked with before, but as you can see on the screen, we're going to be talking about Lady Eresh. Now, I've been trying to go through and select champions that I recently pulled since the last Clan v Clan. And one of the things I noticed, especially, and I think a lot of people may agree with this one, there are some awesome epic champions in this game. And especially for my early game players, guys, when you pull some of these champions, I definitely encourage you to always go through, kind of see what they're all about. If you have a little gear lying around, maybe put a little gear on them, run them through a couple of areas of the game, and really build your own opinion. So we're in Knights Revenant faction. We're looking at this particular epic attack champion, Lady Eresh, and review-wise, overall, your girl is looking pretty solid. Now, she was actually a random shard pull for me, and I've had a chance to run her through campaign. I've definitely started in trying to get those masteries built up, but I think Lady Eresh may have a nice impact for me. So let's just look at the skill kit really quick. Now, total stats overall, HP, base HP is 15,000, not bad. Attack sits right above 1,300. Speed is pretty good at 96. That crit damage, 60%, looks kind of nice. So all of this, basic wise, we're looking okay. Now, Meticulous Adversary attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 25% chance of placing a 25% weakened debuff for 2 turns. And you are able to increase the amount of damage inflicted by 20%. There are going to be some of you guys, especially if you are anywhere between level 20 to level 40, you may not have pulled a champion that has the ability of weaken. Do not sleep on this ability. Now, is she the best at it? Probably not. I believe I've seen a couple of champions that definitely hit harder, and some of them that will place weaken on all enemies. But if you do not currently have someone in your lineup, this is definitely one of those things that can be helpful, especially when you're thinking about those longer battles, thinking about dungeons, a couple of keeps as well. She's really become helpful in those areas. Second skill, Blur of Nas, attacks all enemies. My favorite sentence in the game. Has a 20% chance of granting an extra turn. If an extra turn is not granted, fills this champion's turn meter by 10% for each living enemy instead. Now that one is kind of unique. I do love attack all enemies. You guys know how I feel about that, especially when it is the first skill of a champion. But the 20% chance of granting that extra turn, I've noticed that actually she goes in for that extra turn on a nice little basis. So she's been nicely clutch in early campaign for me. Anything with turn meter addition is always nice, especially if she is placed on a team lineup with someone else who has the ability to manipulate the either the speed or the turn meter of the enemy. You can increase damage, of course, by 25%, and this is on a 4-turn cooldown. Death Rite Evocation places a 50% increased attack buff and a 30% increased critical damage buff on this champion for 3 turns, then grants an extra turn, and this can be placed on a 4-turn cooldown. This skill, when I first read it, I wasn't like exactly blown away with it, but when I've seen it in action, the fact that this increased attack buff is placed is really, really helpful. But I've also noticed that the likelihood of it being followed by the increased damage overall kind of seems consistent. And the fact that they're granted an extra turn and you can put this on a 4-turn cooldown, not bad, not bad at all. Her passive places a perfect veil buff on this champion for 2 turns whenever their HP drops below 50%. Based on the level this particular account is sitting at, I haven't had the chance to see Perfect Veil, I think, but maybe once, because she normally doesn't drop below 50%. But this skill is also placed on a 4-turn cooldown. Here's something else, guys. And if you notice, the number of books, so 4 books here, we're up to 7, 8. You can't go wrong with an epic champion that requires 8 books. I have seen champions that require 8 books on their first skill. So the one thing that I can definitely say with newer champions in the game and those champions that I'm now being exposed to, it's nice not to be so book intensive. Now, where I have always fallen short is being able to actually gear up these champions the way I really would like. To give you kind of an idea, we're on normal. I've been going back and trying to 3-star every area. I've also been revisiting the place of, is it Arvia? Arabia? Arabia, maybe? So I've been trying to go for a little speed gear. It's not going to be the greatest, 1, 2 stars. Sometimes I look up and get a 3, depending on where I am. That's why I spend so much time in dungeon as well until I can make it to brutal level. So I've been pushing through campaign, and she's actually proved pretty helpful through this pursuit. I'm tempted to go to Deadlands, which I just made it to on this particular account. But let me kind of compare what she's going to do at stage 6. So I run a kind of unique team, with adjudicator, sniper, and of course, death knights. If you have them, man, you've got to 6-star them. So just kind of working him through, building up the levels to get a unique team. And let's kind of look and see what this team does as you're going through. And I know the first time you go through normal campaign, one of the hardest things is you kind of figure out the potential of your champions because you run into them on other teams and through other team builds, but it's getting your team to pull that kind of power. Now, if you look at these guys, they are going straight through. It's one of the reasons why I do focus on mastery so much in early campaign, because it allows me to go back and to really go through these levels pretty quickly. Sniper is looking pretty good. Death Knight is throwing that energy, and I cannot wait until I unlock Forge on this particular account. If we look here, as far as damage, she's not going to outdo Sniper right now. I don't have her ascended either, but this team is going to float through pretty well. Let's compare it to, we're going to go ahead to the Deadlands and see if we can attack on this first level, which we should do pretty good. Let's put in my boy Death Knight, of course. We're going to put Lady Eresh here. Go in just with that same team format, and let's see what my girl is able to do. I've had some pretty good success as far as early campaign, and this champion, I'm loving some of the shield impact is something that you don't pay attention to, but that you actually do appreciate. I know that sometimes some of your champions early game are really, really squishy. So when you pull an epic, it's nice to be able to have either a defensive champion on your team or someone who's able to throw those buffs as well. Now, one thing I will notice, I'm going to change the position of her and Sniper on this next run and see if I can get her to go a little bit more often. I want to build her speed, because I think if you get her speed to 100%, man, this girl may be pretty tough, pretty tough. So here we go. A little bit different as far as damage wise. So adjudicator got kind of pushed back there. Not giving much here, but damage wise coming through. And I think that's ultimately based on gear, of course. Now, I've seen people that have used Lady Eresh in Arena who are very happy, just with the skill base. Someone else that I would love to see her on a team with, who I don't have on this account, was probably Host Ring. I know a lot of people don't like Host Ring as is he a legendary or an epic champion? He may be a legendary champion. I've seen so many people that hate that champion. But guys, I'm going to be honest, early game, I love him. Like, I absolutely love him. I've either 5 or 6 starred him, and I don't regret it at this point. So I know that there are certain champions that everybody will kind of have you shy away from, but he's one of those. It really creates a solid ability. And especially if you were pairing different champions with Death Knight, oh my gosh, there are so many possibilities. Let's try early arena, because on this account, we are only level 25. So on this particular account, we're only level 25, have not unlocked tag team just yet. And I know some of you guys have tag team on lock. So these are the teams that I'm exposed to, which I'm kind of loving right now. It's nice to be able to farm through this. And I've got my boy Burgess in here, but let's drop adjudicator, Let's go in with Lady Eresh and let's see how we do. We should do fine. We're at 21K. You will notice I run about half of normal campaign. And then after that, I will spend the next 3 or 4 days using all of my available multi-battles to actually stop and run through Minotaur's Labyrinth. And that allows me to power up my champions. Like even here, if you got Sniper early arena, guys, you're good. And I have seen some teams that actually they will use Sniper as food early game. I highly recommend you build her out because it can definitely be worth it. She allows your team not to actually have to do very much work at all. And that attack all is going to take out so many people for Lady Eresh. So it just depends on who's going first. Now, let's do this one. Let's put my girl in first. See what she can do. Really easy, really going through. If you are not taking advantage of Arena, don't forget it's tied directly to your Great Hall. And it's definitely an area that you want to max out. She still had to do no work. So Sniper is just taking all the thunder and fury on this one. Let's see what happens if I drop Sniper out. And even with Burgess on this team, sitting at level 40, I'm pretty sure we should do good either way. Their Galect is going to come with it. She's going to throw that one out and boom, they're still good. Going a little bit slower at 7 seconds, but she can put out a little damage and she's going to be a good support. So I'm excited to see what happens when I'm able to ascend her and actually get her on that 5-star level as well. So I'm going to go through, guys, just kind of finish up a couple of teams here in Arena, making sure that I'm hitting all the boxes, logging in clan-wise as well. If you are shying away from the tournaments, shying away from using those new champions, I definitely encourage you to make that move. If you are still looking for a clan to join, hey, come and join us, guys. 22WK. We've got a couple of slots that are ready for you. We've definitely been going through a clan activity, gearing up for the next Clan Be Clan. There should be some great events coming at the end of the month as well. So getting resources together. I know for me, starting today, I'm going to push through just really trying to use champions, build them up, and then wait. So resources, resources, resources. Hopefully you'll have a great day. And hey, it's always great for the gamers. I'll talk to you guys soon.